Today we're going to talk about immigration in America, specifically two periods of immigration that occurred in the mid-19th and early 20th centuries. Before the Civil War, starting in the 1830s, hundreds of thousands of European immigrants began coming to America. Throughout the 1830s, around 600,000 immigrants came. By the 1840s, the number grew to over 1.5 million. By the 1850s, the number of immigrants coming to America grew even more to around 2.5 million. This first wave of immigration saw mostly German, Scandinavian, and Irish immigrants from Northern and Western Europe. A large number of Chinese also came. Immigrants came to America for a number of reasons. Push factors are reasons why they decided to leave their homeland. One major push factor was trying to escape poverty, such as the Irish potato famine during the 1840s. Other push factors included fleeing political turmoil or religious persecution that was taking place in their homelands. This happened when millions of Russian Jews were being persecuted during the Russian pogroms of the 1880s. Pull factors were reasons why immigrants were attracted to America specifically. Pull factors were mainly economic. In America's growing economy, plenty of industrial and mining jobs were available to immigrants. Irish immigrant workers were vital in building the Erie Canal, and the Transcontinental Railroad could not have been built without Chinese immigrant labor. Industrial wages, however, were pretty low and working conditions could be very harsh. Another major attraction to America was the availability of land. In Europe, land was scarce. In 1862, the U.S. government passed the Homestead Act, which offered 160 acres of land to just about anyone who agreed to go out west and try to farm. From 1882 until 1914, over 20 million immigrants came to the United States in a second and our biggest wave of immigration. These new immigrants tended to come mostly from southern and eastern European countries like Italy, Poland, and Russia. Asian immigrants came to America through the Angel Island Immigration Center in San Francisco. Most immigrants, however, came through Ellis Island in New York City. Immigrants settled in Manhattan's Lower East Side in ethnic neighborhoods called ghettos. Many major American cities had their own versions of a Little Italy or a Chinatown. Ghetto neighborhoods were generally poor and residents lived in crowded tenements. But in these ethnic enclaves, newly arrived immigrants could get assistance from sympathetic neighbors. Immigrants were not welcomed by everyone in America. During both periods of immigration, there were strong anti-immigrant feelings known as nativism. Nativists were hostile towards immigrants for a number of reasons. One was the belief that the influx of large numbers of immigrant workers were taking jobs from American workers and keeping wages low. Some immigrants were also anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic at a time when many European immigrants were from predominantly Catholic countries or Jewish people fleeing persecution in their homelands. Still others in America feared that poor immigrants brought with them deadly diseases such as tuberculosis. Some Americans believed that immigrants would not assimilate to American society and the large number of immigrants would dilute the American way of life. Whatever the reasons, nativists tried to prevent or limit immigration. In the 1850s, the American Party, also called the Know Nothing Party, attracted nativists and tried to prevent Catholics and immigrants from voting, holding office, or being hired. In 1882, President Chester Arthur signed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was the first law signed for the purpose of banning one specific ethnic group from the United States. The Gentleman's Agreement was an informal agreement with the U.S. and Japan to limit Japanese immigrants coming to America. There are also many other laws, such as Emergency Quota Acts and the National Origins Act, that tried to limit immigration to the United States. To sum it up, here are the main facts to remember. There were two periods of immigration. The first took place before the Civil War in the 1840s and 1850s. These immigrants came mostly from Northern and Western Europe. The second wave took place between the 1880s and 1921. These immigrants were mainly from Southern and Eastern Europe. Immigrants came to America for a variety of push and pull factors, including job opportunities and land. Immigrants settled in American cities in ethnic neighborhoods called ghettos. Immigrants faced hostility from a number of nativist organizations like the Know Nothing Party and nativist laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act. So there you have it, folks. Hope you learned a little bit more about immigration. The end.